Hello, Arizona. I'm Randy Miller, and I'm talking to you regarding the executive orders and the directions from the governor with threat of jail time and fine that specific businesses or certain businesses were not allowed to operate until he said so. Excuse me. Where to start? I guess let's start first with the Constitution protections and limitations, protections for the people and limitations on government. Let's look at civil liberties. Civil liberties are the Bill of Rights, and let's talk specifically about your right to own property and control property being protected under the Fifth Amendment, whereas that you cannot be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. There's been no due process of law in anything. There's been no accusation of criminal wrongdoing on the businesses that are being told they cannot operate. So where is the authority for them to tell you you cannot operate your business? King Ducey has stepped way out of line on this, and our legislature has failed to do their job and stand up and intercede on your behalf to protect your rights as they're supposed to do, since they all took individual oath of office. It is an individual oath, not a group oath. It's an oath specifically for the individual because they have to state their name, and then they will pledge to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States and of Arizona to the best of their abilities, or whatever it says. So this is where you have to stand up and say enough is enough. They're violating their oath. They're violating your property rights. There's no due process of law. And so that leads me to the next section that I want to talk about. What is the purpose of government? Where does the power come from? If you look at Arizona's Constitution, Article 2 is our Declaration of Rights section of the Constitution. Arizona State Constitution, Article 2, Section 2 says basically three things. Number one, that all political power is inherent in the people. That's you, that's me, that's our community. The political power is inherent in us. What is political power? Political power is the authority or the power to make laws. So if political power comes from the people, then where's the authority coming from outside of us to tell you you have no due process rights of law? You're going to have to close your business and devastate families and economies because we say so. It's the most ridiculous thing I've seen. So the second thing the Arizona Constitution says is that government derives its just powers from the consent of the governed. Wow. So not only is political power inherent in us, but government derives its just powers, justified powers, only those powers justified for the good of society from us, our consent. Here we are again. And then the third thing it's supposed to do, this is the good one. Government is there to protect and preserve individual rights. We are not a collective communistic society. We're an individualistic society where we recognize the glory, the power, the beauty of individual rights and their ability to take their talents and gifts and apply them for good and benefit and profit from those for themselves and their families, because in turn, if through just the natural process, economies and communities will flourish because everyone is able to contribute. So government derives its just powers from the consent of the governed, and the purpose of government is to protect and preserve individual rights. Where have they gone wrong here? Well, just look around. Now we need to look at, not only do you have your civil liberties, you have your civil rights. Civil liberties are those liberties protected. They weren't granted to you by the Constitution. The Constitution was instituted to protect your civil liberties, the Bill of Rights, because they existed prior to government. So where was I? Let's see. Civil rights. Now we're at the civil rights section. Civil rights everybody has a civil right to be treated equally under the law. That's the difference. Civil liberties, we have those. Government's there to protect those liberties. Civil rights is now that we've allowed you to make laws, you have to apply those equally to me and to everybody else. So if a business is being told to close down because they sell clothing or they cut hair, but Costco can stay open because they sell food and clothing and yard stuff and liquor, is that equal protection under the law? Or are they discriminating because you sell something that they say is non-essential and somebody else is selling something that's also included in what you're selling, but they're telling you you can't? Where's the equality here? So my point to you, businesses, you have every right to open your doors, and the government has no right to shut you down. Just on that alone. I'm not even going to get into the coronavirus or anything like that. It makes no difference to me. We are not any other country. We cannot equate how we're going to handle this problem as comparing it to how other countries do it. We're not other countries. We don't want to be other countries. We are America. We are Arizona, an independent sovereign state. We will handle this how we see we should for Arizona. And I'm telling you, how they're doing it now is not legal, it's not proper, and it's just plain wrong. And it's a test to see what they can get away with. And you have allowed it by voluntarily closing your doors out of fear, again, because King Ducey has said he's going to threaten you or is threatening you with jail time, 6 months, and a $2,500 fine. Let me tell you something. These police officers that are out there listening, I feel sorry for you because you are being wronged. You're being put in a position where now you have to make a choice. Are you going to do the right thing and uphold your oath and protect the rights of the people that you live and work among? Or are you going to follow an unconstitutional, illegal order and shut everybody down, watching in front of you how the damage is being done right in front of you? We're hurting ourselves. We're cutting our leg off, even though there's nothing wrong with it, crippling us for the rest of our life. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. So my message to you all, open your doors. Freedom isn't free. You have to make a stand. You have to make a choice. I will be there. My family will be there. My friends will be there to support your business. And if we got to stand in front of that door and let people know that you have a right to be open, then we'll do that. You also have to understand there's always going to be these naysayers that are going to bully and point fingers and say you're harming society, you're harming the community. Well, let them stay home. That's their right. I'm not going to make them go to your business, but they have no right to tell you you can't open your doors because they're afraid you might create a problem. Health-wise, they don't have to go. We are smart. We're not stupid. We can take precautions necessary under the circumstances to make sure everybody's health and welfare is being looked after as a business owner, and I trust you to do that. So I'm asking you, open your doors, forget about this nonsense, and tell King Ducey that he's violating your civil rights and he's violating your civil liberties, and you've had enough. We are the government. Government comes from the people under the Article 2, Section 2 of our state constitution, which we operate under. We don't operate under federal constitution. That's the federal government. But we have to make sure it's our duty and responsibility to make sure it's upheld. So anyway, that's all I'm going to say. Open your doors. Tell the governor he's not in control of your economic future, and he's not in control of your freedoms and liberties. I'm Randy Miller. I'm running for LD21, House of Representatives, and I'm the Arizona Director for the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association for Arizona, and I teach the Constitution. And when this is all done and we're open for business like we should be, I hope you'll come to my Constitution Tuesdays. Stay tuned for more. Thank you. I love you, Arizona. Let's do this right.